So, we are just going to go ahead and start the session. And like I explained to everyone, we're going to basically start the session at the council the next morning around noon, or I guess the next day around noon. You all have been told to, or your presence has been requested at the royal court in a room that looks much like a round table, almost like King Arthur legends. It's a very large room, very fancy. Wood elves do like their fanciness. Whatever order you guys arrive in, you will find that Lady Celine and Queen Alana are already there, along with Falcor, who is in a human form, and appears much like an old sage is what would come to mind. Very well kept, very well groomed, long beard.
Hold on. How do you pronounce the queen's name? I have Laowyn.
Oh, no. Alana. The best way is Alana.
That's not what was in the background history.
It is not. I changed it. I am horrible with names.
Could you give me that name again?
Yes, Alana.
Okay. All right. Now that would have been something that you could have mentioned to me whenever you saw.
I apologize. I actually forgot that I had changed it from the background one. I had written that so long ago.
All right. That's good. This is what happens when the player reads the GM's background.
This is what happens when the GM forgets his own background.
Detail.
Yeah. So they are already sitting. Falcor is there in a like I said, he's wearing red robes, and he has very well kept hair, and a very large booming voice. In the room as well is Jigal and Fergal. Cole would know this. I don't know if the others would. The clan, or the tribe of gnomes that you guys worked with, have actually been spending a lot of their time at the Sunset Tower, acting as the liaisons for moving troops around. So they have been called to the council. Waga is there, representing the orcs. And the only other people that are there, other than you guys, are, and I'm basically just going to let you know and have you guys react how you want. Sitting at the table next to Lady Celine is going to be, on the table, cross-legged, is Mika. And in the back of the room, standing up against the wall, like not part of the table, but in the room, in her uniform, is Sky.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Has the meeting begun yet?
No, they are basically waiting for all of you to gather.
Okay. Take a seat, cross my hands. I'll wait for a time to interject. I'll wait for everyone to assemble.
Mm-hmm.
Take a seat next to Pearson. Begin to cross my arms, and then notice Mika's there, and then do a double take, and then look at Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson gives a bit of a nod. And he's going to be the first to pipe this up. So before we start, I'm assuming the first line of business is that you were able to detect whatever enchantment Mika was under, and you've broken the spell. You found out the source of it, and it is now safe.
Lady Celine will look at Pearson and say, yes, though the toll on her was a bit more than I was hoping for. Not only has the enchantment been broken, but her power to touch other minds has been completely erased.
How did you figure this out?
She looks at Mika, and Mika has her head down. Time, study, and pain.
So now that you're free, Mika, why don't you tell us exactly what was going on ever since the beginning? Ever since you hired us back in Whitebridge. Tell us exactly what went on, since now that you can speak freely.
Mika looks at you and says, I will tell you what I can. What I know. I was a Dizian of the last world that was conquered by Azil. My parents were murdered in front of me and my brother at a young age, and we were kept imprisoned and tortured as Azil's playthings. Our powers to touch other minds was of great use to him. We would commonly be used to look into the thoughts of his lieutenants and subordinates, and if we saw any resistance there, he would slaughter them. I do not know, she sighs, I do not know if my brother's mind was broken or if he never was who I felt he was. But as it's been made clear to everyone, he, at some point, began to enjoy his job and hid it from me. I thought that we had escaped with the stones. I was truly under the impression that we had outsmarted Azil and Seller and brought the stones to this realm. And when I hired you to do the job, I was under the impression that if the stones were used, the portals would open and Azil would invade this world. I had no idea that I was being used by him.
So when you mentioned before how we wanted details on the stones, what they could do, the whole thing, you said that you were forced, you were enchanted, that you couldn't speak of it. Was that Azal's doing?
She spreads her hands. I am almost positive, yes. But it was not as though anyone told us what was going on. Whenever I tried to speak of the stone's true potential, I would feel crippling pain. I simply put the two and two together that the enchantments on the stone were put there by Azil to force me, for obvious reasons, from telling the truth.
So you say we're being assured that you can no longer get into people's minds. Is that correct?
She nods.
How about Trip? Can you still communicate with him?
Her face pales and she says no. And I only attempted so once since we parted, before I found Lady Celine again. What I found there was not my brother.
Yeah. What was the conversation about? What did you tell him?
She shakes her head. I think I am misspeaking. There was no conversation. I touched his mind. I did not converse with him.
Is this a two-way street? Did he touch yours as well?
She looks up and she says, I do not think so. And if he did, if what you're worried about is where your family is, then he did not learn any such thing from me.
It's not just my family now, Mika. You understand? You were the mechanism that brought us to this situation right now, whether you were willingly a part of it or not. I am not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with this, only because there's still so much about Azale that we don't know. But if the enchantment is truly gone,
Lady Celine will put her hands on the table and fold them, and she says, I, of course, understand your concerns, Pearson. Though I should make it quite clear, whether Mika could have divulged the information or not, I would say it's only safe to assume Azil knows where your family is, and much where all of us are. It has not been easy to hide that this town is the seat of our alliance's power. It was not incredibly successful in hiding that this is where the survivors of Whitebridge ran to.
You're right, we're compromised. That means we should probably change our location.
Lady Celine and Queen Alana will look at each other and then look back to Pearson and they will say, that is one thing that perhaps we should discuss. Though I would personally be of the opinion that this place is far more defensible than any other we could find. However, that is for the council to decide.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue on then.
Anyone else, have you all arrived? Are you still arriving at this time, or?
Keen will arrive now. he will enter the room, and everybody's kind of somber and go, hell did I walk in on? He'll find a seat. Then look over the table over to Mika and go, oh, you're back.
Mika will give you a small, nervous smile, but say nothing.
A stretching Cole comes into the room and plops down next to Jarek, and will put his elbows on the table and just kind of lean on them.
All right. Then once you are all gathered, Queen Alana will stand up and she will say, now that everyone's here, I think it would be best that we start. And I'm not going to take an hour to go through the whole council, so I will just paraphrase for the most part and then let you guys interject when you feel you should or want to. Mm-hmm. They will go over first what you guys have missed while you've been away. That the gnomes have moved in, this tribe has moved in to a semi-permanent residence here, and have been helping to keep the Allied forces mobile. They have been using the Sunset Tower as a base of operations, quote-unquote, to strike out from, and they have been doing whatever they can to hit the enemy in any way they can. However, up until this point, it has all been more skirmishes, hit and runs. There have been no real pitched battles because the Wood Elves are not ready, and they alone do not have the numbers. Waga will spend time explaining that the the war that his people are raging against the Lich King is not going well. That some time ago, from what he has heard, their attack has increased in ferocity, and that his people are being pushed back. But he's in a customary orc-like stance. He assures everyone that they will hold. He's just not sure if they will be able to... In other words, we'll hold, we won't break, but we're not exactly going to be breaking them either. Then the gnomes briefly explain what's been going on since the defeat of Shalta. The tribes have been able to successfully avoid the Mother's Gaze. However, activity down below has increased immensely. And much like you guys are using the gnomes to move your troops, it would seem that Azil is using the Mother to move his troops. And that much of the gnomes' strengths and resources right now are spent doing their best trying to keep track of these movements, and it is incredibly difficult to do. With that, that Lady Celine will then kind of go into the situations of all the other nations, saying that she has, while you've been gone, attempted to make diplomatic contact to all the other nations requesting aid. And like I told you last week, Coalhaven's response was, we have our own problems. High Elves have not responded at all. The Dwarves, she has sent a message to the King Volmgir the 18th, and has received one message back from him that was... Celine hesitates to use the word frantic, but... hasty or apprehensive, that the king fears that Mount Siren is not behaving properly, and that if it erupts, it could mean the doom of his people, and that he must find a way to save his people before he can be of help to anyone. And that is where the council currently sits. After explaining this to everyone, Lady Celine will sit back down, and then she will say, "So, that is where we stand. We must figure out what our best steps from here should be."
Right.
Do we have any idea where Zale himself is just yet?
Lady Celine says, "He is in Whitebridge. I can feel him."
Okay. I'm not doubting our capacity in order to do what needs to be done. And I do feel that in the face of a great threat, a united front is best in order for all of us to survive. However, if I'm to use street level thinking, which is all I can really do, all right? When an enemy becomes so powerful, or it doesn't look like we're going to make it, and it's the head of a rival, gang, typically what's done is assassins are sent after it to try to kill the head, scatter everything out, because they can't do a stand-up fight. Do any of you think it's possible that we could sneak in or somehow get to Whitebridge and just finish this thing now? We know what we need to do. We know exactly what we need to do. We have the gems. We have ourselves. We know what we need to do to get rid of Azale. Why don't we go for it before things get any worse?
Lady Celine, in response to that, would actually look to Sky and say, "Lieutenant, you've been summoned to this meeting because you are far and away the most experienced with what we're facing. What do you think?" And with that, Sky would, making a point not to look at Pearson, would look at Lady Celine and say, "I think that it is a last resort. My people tried it, and they were slaughtered to a man. And while I think that your warriors here are of a better caliber than mine were, Azil has done this many times, and I can only imagine how many times this plan has been discussed. I would never say that there is no chance of success, but I would say that it should be a last resort."
Okay. Then we should do what he doesn't expect, which is a tall order, because he's done this, 100 times or more?
Sky will shrug and nod.
Well, then clearly this is not the first time everyone tried to unite to fight the man either, or the thing, or the god, or whatever the hell he thinks he is. So, are there any other options? Thoughts? Take that as a no.
Generally, it is odd to have somebody plan to take over an area. If he already had the power to successfully do all these things at the beginning, he wouldn't do all of these actions to try to separate as much. He's trying to protect something.
Mika would softly say, "If I may, he used to often talk about the fact that no world had ever united against him. He was always proud of it. His ability to divide a world against itself was always something that he took great pride in."
Yeah, okay. Let's just continue talking as to what to do next then.
Well,
So where do we go?
say if it's another area to liberate, save, would it be? Whatever, gain another ally. I think the one that's the most in danger might be the best, because we might not have a second chance.
Mm-hmm. You're
That
talking
at the
about the
moment
dwarves,
seems-
right?
Yes.
He seems to be the most. How do I put this? Urgent.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Jarek?
Jarek shrugs.
Lady Celine will say, actually, as for that, I have, as much as I am loath to break up your party, I have asked Jarek to look into another matter for me. One that could
What
be just as important.
What matter is that?
Pearson, you brought up at the start that we could be compromised here.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is more apparent to my mind than that the device on Windfall Isle was destroyed, yes, but I hope that if we were to study what's left, to find out how it was done, that such a thing might be turned from a weapon into a shield. A way to turn Windfall into a safe haven. A last place to fall back to. This, I feel, is important enough that I intend to send my best minds to study it. And it is hard to argue that Jarek is one of our best minds.
Who else is going?
She waves her hand. Unfortunately, no one that you would know or have met, but the heads of the Wizard Order and my tutor.
You all right by this, Jarek?
Jarek Trenton says, "It's none of my business to tell Lady Celine who she can send to an island."
Really? Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
in regards to her eggheads and scientists, I make my own choices.
Hmm.
Here, this is for you. Jarek flings the wish stone at high speeds at Cole with Mage Hand.
Now Cole has both stones.
Out of character, players just talking. We told Lady Celine that the fucking dragon cannon was destroyed. She's gonna be pissed that we lied to her.
I think she
Do we
already
really?
knows. As a player, I think she knows.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So. Huh. I find it interesting. We were really concerned about this falling into the wrong hands, and we are definitely giving it to someone. This thing still has to be destroyed before the end of it, right? Like at the end of everything, like we gotta destroy this thing. Like Lady Celine, as benevolent as fucking wonderful as she is, no person should just have the power to obliterate cities, right? We're still in agreement in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is going to be
Although-
very odd at this point, because if it's going to be a safe haven there with a cannon, which is, would be very protective during the war, afterwards is going to be a bit of a...
Now that I know this, I wish we destroyed it. I really do. But
Yeah.
what can you do?
She
All right,
was.
that's fine.
She was saying something about doing a shield.
Yeah, turning it into a shield, but yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see. We'll see. It's out of my hands as a player character, so I just wanted to. I felt like I missed something, so I just wanted to clarify it with my fellow players. So let's slip back into character. Sorry about that.
It's cool.
All right. Well, it's still the ball's in your court still, so I'm just gonna be silent.
Yeah. Well, if nobody's gonna mention it, I'm gonna at least mention the gnomes might be getting an ally sometime soon.
Jagal would raise his eyebrow at that.
Well,
Yes.
I already know that the orcs some have a bit of a past with gnolls. Same with the dragons. But they wanted to leave Windfall Isle. They broke from the Lich King's control, and they wanted to help us in some way. They were actually pretty key in order to save the dragons. And there's about 75 that are going with the gnome that took us to Windfall Isle, back to the rest of the gnomes. They'll be fully prepared to help protect you.
Jagal would listen to what you say, and then he would actually look directly to Cole, and then say, "Can we trust them?"
Trust is a hard thing to have, but they seem to be honor bound, and they've proven themselves by throwing their numbers at a less than probable way that they would even survive the fight.
Suffice to say, if the Knolls wanted to trick us, they had many opportunities to do so. In fact, a part of our taking and destruction of the Dragon Cannon, a pinnacle point depended on them when they could have easily turned their backs and attacked us and stopped us if it was truly to their advantage. So, what Cole says is true. They're very honor-bound. And in that sense, they can be trusted.
And Wagga would actually chime in and say, "I've fought gnolls my entire life, and they are as likely to kill you as look at you, but I have never known a gnoll to trick someone." And with that, Jagal will say, if Cole finds that it is safe, then we will take them in.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
They look for a fight, so either have them as gods or send them to where you need.
Yeah.
Jagal will nod solemnly without responding.
So the last thing before we completely pin down on exactly where we want to go, although I think the consensus is pretty strong, is what are we going to do about this fortress that was built up to the south of here, just outside the break of the woods? That's clearly the biggest compromise, correct?
Lady Celine will nod. It is a danger, and certainly.
All right. So, how big is it? How long did it take to be constructed? Who's in it?
Lady Celine will say, "From what I understand from our scouts, it took a few weeks to construct. It was done so magically. Inside is mostly what we saw in Whitebridge. However, I have heard reports of some undead and even some driders."
Okay.
Cole's gonna raise a hand.
Yes.
What's a drider?
And Jagal will look at Cole and say,
Cole, you. Pearson, some time ago, created a helmet, and this was right before we rescued the gnomes that were by that fireplace before the mother appeared, and we ran into the Underdark. Do you remember that? Giant monstrous spider with the abdomen of a spider and the top part of a human. You remember that?
Are those driders?
Yes.
Alright.
Jagal will nod and say, "They are the lieutenants of the mother, and very dangerous."
So, I find this interesting. We know why the Lich King decided to ally himself with Azale. hopefully we're putting fractures into that alliance. But what I don't really understand is what the mother is getting out of this. Sure, there was words before about Azale controls above and she controls below. But do we really think that either of them share? Are they capable of sharing? I don't really think so.
I don't know enough about either of them to make that qualification.
Well, if you want to try to conquer people, you're not really, in my opinion, a really genuinely pacifistic individual. I'm saying just as we are uniting ourselves, we should also try to compromise their own alliance. The more we know about the mother and the more we know about Azale means the more we can try to drive a wedge between them and feed off their deceitful natures against each other.
And Lady Celine will nod, as you did with the Lich King. I like it.
Hmm. But, okay. Just a thought. One thought, right? Gnomes, you are very, you're very strong when it comes to illusionary magic. Is that correct?
Jigal will nod.
Are you able to disguise or create illusions of other beings? So say, for example, another orc would be standing over my shoulder. Could you make something like that happen? Or could you make me look like an orc, even temporarily?
Jigal will look to Fergal, and Fergal is the Pearson. He's the alchemist and shaman that helped you with your poison.
Mm-hmm.
And he will say, Fergal is our expert in such things. And Fergal will say, what you ask is certainly possible for someone who is powerful enough in illusionary or mind control magic. However, the difficulty becomes in how many minds are touched. I can make you look like an orc to one, maybe two people, but three people at the same time, I might have difficulty. I might have trouble maintaining a perfect illusion.
Okay. All right. So maybe this is what we do. Has any of the patrols here, you have engaged with demons, correct, right? You have engaged with these demons, you've engaged with this undead and a few of these driders?
Yes, we have.
All right. Well, the undead's minds, I'm assuming they don't really have anything, so that's not really a point. Here's my suggestion. If you're ever able to capture one of the demons or capture one of the driders, maybe we should impart upon that captive, we should create a fiction. We should allow them to escape, make them think they managed to escape from our captivity, but with the knowledge that there are driders working for us as well. Just one or two or three or four or how many we want them to think. But if we're going to sow seeds of doubt between Azale and the mother, it's best to start as soon as we can and as simple and as subtly as possible. When we start to learn more about them, we can continue to drive a wedge through them. But I think it might be a worthwhile first attempt.
Fergal would nod and look to Lazily and say, my shamans can certainly do such a thing if we're only dealing with one individual, and if we pool our powers together, we could create quite a convincing illusion. However, it would be up to your patrols to do the capturing. And Lady Celine nods and she looks to the Queen Alana, and Alana says, we can certainly make that a priority.
It's true. We have to stop fighting fair against Azale. We are going to have to start being very, very tricky. But But that's my suggestion in regards to that. That's not where we're headed. So are we in agreement? Are we going to help the dwarves? With the exception of Jarek, who is returning to the Windfall Isles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lady Celine will say, then I concur, and I don't think anyone else in this council will have any objections to it. However, the dwarves, being who they are, it would be best if I send with you a guide of sorts, a contact, someone who is familiar with the dwarves and can help you avoid any diplomatic missteps.
Right, this is all very fun and interesting. I tell you what, that's all great and well. I'm going to leave now. This council is over for me.
As Jarek gets up, Falcor says, Jarek, I will be leaving soon too. Meet me outside the city with your... And he looks at Lady Celine and says, horse.
I'll have everything prepared, thanks.
And as Jarek leaves, Falcor will actually stand up too, and he will say, forgive me, but we dragons do not work well as a team. We will do what we can to fight this menace. However, I am not naive enough to think that we can win this on our own. If you ever need us, if you are to have a big engagement, a battle that might sway the tide of this war, he'll point to Keen. He has a method of contacting us, and we will be there.
You hear that, Cole? Try to keep Keen alive, please.
Yep.
And with that, Falcor will take his leave from the council.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Lady Celine will say, then I believe there are just 2 other matters to address. It will take, of course, a few days to set up the contact you would need, and of course I would assume that you could certainly use the rest before you start off. However, the first and most pressing issue is the one you brought up, Pearson, that we as a council should at least discuss. It should be assumed that Azil knows that our seat of power is here at the Sunset Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is my firm opinion that there is no place more defensible than this mountain. And as you can see on the background that you look behind you, this thing does look like it would be very difficult to assault. But Leeson says, not impregnable, but I feel that our best course is to stay here and to weather the storm. However, I am but one voice in this council. And then she will sit back down.
What are our options?
Well, no problem. If I knew all my enemies gathered together in a warehouse down in the southern districts of Whitebridge, I would arrange for that warehouse to be put to the fire with all of them in it, therefore killing them all at once. Yes, this is defensible, and for the population, for the refugees of Whitebridge, even my family, I cannot think any other place on Ardenfell that we have come across that is more secure. However, we have to assume things will go poorly. If all of our leadership, and not just us, but I mean you, Lady Celine, and you, Queen,
Alana.
I wrote it down, Alana, there we go, I just had to open up my notepad. Queen Alana, in addition to Jigal and Waga, all of them here, I don't think that's wise. I think we should come up with a way to communicate with each other, but not be in the same location. That way, with all due respect, Lady Celine, if you were to perish, our cause is not lost.
Queen Alana would say there is wisdom in this. It would simply be a matter of how to do it.
The book that you gave us that allows us to magically communicate. Do you have more of those?
Lady Celine says, there are very few of them in this world. You have one, I have another. The Dwarf King Valmgalir has one, and the King of Colhaven has the last one I'm aware of. Unfortunately, while those are effective, you yourselves have seen their limitations. They can only be used once every few days, and you have to actually be there to read it. It would make the logistics of running a war nearly impossible. We would have to find a much more efficient way.
Well, I don't know of magic efficiency. I'm afraid that's not in my realm. I'm more of an idea guy. Pearson gives a wiry grin.
Lady Celine says, it is an interesting challenge. I can put forth my considerable efforts to it, and perhaps find a solution. As the Queen says, your words do have merit. If we can find a way to separate our power base and still communicate effectively, I promise that I will devote my efforts to finding such a course of action.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, with that out of the way, then there is one last thing that I feel before you go should be addressed. We know, and you were informed briefly through the journal, of Azil's lieutenants, three of which you have already met, and 2 of them you have killed. I feel it is in your best interests, since you will be the ones that they will concentrate upon the most, to know as much as you possibly can about them. I assume
All right.
there's no objections.
Yeah.
No. There's no objections.
With that, she will say, Lieutenant, Sky. And she'll say in a much softer voice, if you would, please. And with that, Sky will step forward. And she has her hands behind her back, but she stands proud. And she meets everyone's gaze, and she says, I cannot give you as much information as I would like. For my world had many stories of these lieutenants, and many of my friends fell to them. But I have only ever done battle with one. Other than Seller, she adds at the end. But I can at least tell you what I know. Shalta, you have eliminated. Nye, you have met, and I think you know probably more than I do. There are the twins, Fee and Phi. They are literally and figuratively Seller's children. They were raised by him in his image, and he always saw them as his protégés, and they live up to the name. They are devious, they are manipulative, and they are powerful. And they are always together. You have Gov, who, while at first seems rather unimpressive, the stories I've heard, he does not wield great power, nor does he have a great demeanor about him. But I have heard tales of him being run through with spears, shot through the eye with arrows, even beheaded, only to face him again the next day. He is called Gov the Immortal, for good reason. She hesitates, and then she says there is Dementia. If there could be considered a second in command for Azil's army, Dementia would be her. A demon of excessive cruelty and amazing power. Entire armies would fall to her in my old world. As for her details, I have never met her, but from what I have heard, her magic is destructive, and this pure essence of death. And then she's quiet for a very, very long time. And then she says, and then there's Fabrizio. And you can tell she's kind of visibly shaking when she's talking about this. Fabrizio is a monster in the form of a child. He is not physically impressive, but his mastery of mental and illusionary magic is unparalleled. He can dive into your mind and rip out what he sees there to use against you. He is by far the most sadistic and dangerous of the lieutenants. You will... And she pauses. And when she looks up again, she has actual tears running down her face. She says, you will know him by the scar on his left cheek. And with that, she says, I am sorry, I can't give you any more information. And with a wave of Lady Celine's hand, she will back up to the corner and still be very, very visibly. She will actually sit down in a chair, and her hands will be folded on her legs, and her head will be down, and she will not be looking up.
Okay.
All right.
And with that, Lady Celine will say, thank you. Unless anyone has any questions, I believe we should adjourn the council for now.
Sure. After the council is adjourned, and after Sky leaves, Pearson's going to want Lady Celine and Queen Elenae's ear for a moment. The others can stay as well. It's mostly, he just wants Sky to leave. He's waiting for Sky to leave.
Right.
I should just say.
All right. So then the council would be adjourned. Mika and Sky will actually go off together. Sky will actually stop for a moment to Keen and say, I apologize for my display last night.
No, it was funny.
She looks way too distraught to smile, despite your cheerful efforts. She says, well, I am headed to the deep. Our patrol party that was supposed to be keeping an eye on the fortress we spoke of has not been heard from. We must find them. It might be nothing, and it might not. But I should go.
Good luck.
With that, she nods and she leaves. And then Jigal and Fergal leave, talking to themselves. Waga will clasp Cole's shoulders and then head out. And then all that is left is Queen Alana, Lady Celine, and you guys.
So out of curiosity, I'm just wondering, Squee, how long in time, like how many months have passed since Whitebridge has fallen?
I've actually been trying to figure that out because it is kind of hard to tell. We're going to say...
It's been about 3 months, give or take.
I was going to say, yeah,
all the time.
2 to 3 months, yes.
Yeah, that's including more like 2.5, but 3, around there.
Okay, all right. So Pearson will say, 3 months ago, she was a meek child who could barely wield a staff in battle. She attempted to kidnap my daughter and bring her to the hands of my enemy, a plaything of Sellers, to which we do not know if he is truly dead and his power over her is truly gone. Why in all that is rational is she a lieutenant?
Lady Celine will look straight into your eyes and say, because she's proved herself far more times than I can count.
How? Explain.
She has saved the lives of the people in Whitebridge, the lives of the unit she is now with. She has been on countless patrols, and from everything I have ever heard, she has handled herself not only with duty, honor, and respectability, but with a fierceness unmatched by any other soldier we have. I trust her with my life. Yes, she was manipulated by Seller. Weren't we all?
It's not the same, and you know what?
She agrees.
But-
No, it's not. Seller had thousands of years to work on her. The meek girl that we met was a sky that was locked away from her true self. Her memories, her personality, everything that made her who she was locked by a magical seal that even I couldn't detect. Now that it has been broken, now that Seller is dead, she is who she once was. I understand your fears and your concerns, and I think they are justified. I simply do not share them.
Fine. If you think my fears are justified, then let it be known that I am warning you to not, no matter how soft your heart might be and how compassionate, how fiercely and how honor-driven she is, she could still be a tool used against us. If she could be controlled by him once, she could be so again. And that time, she could be, with her big blue eyes, her big shocked expression, be putting a dagger in your back. Do with her what you will, but make sure she stays away from my family. And with that, Pearson will storm out.
All right. Alrighty.
All right.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I had to deal with something.
No,
What?
no, not a problem.
Anything else?
There was something that I wanted to talk to Celine about. If you recall correctly, Squee,
Sure.
about Jack.
Oh, yes. I do
Yeah.
recall. I absolutely recall, but could you, for the chat?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm basically going to be leaving Jack here because Keen's starting to feel that the world is less and less safe. He doesn't want Jack to be put in danger, and he knows that this is basically the safest place in the world right now. It's also the same place that that his buddy Caleb is in. That's the only reason why he was way back then just instantly like, hey, you're gonna stay here? Awesome. Yeah, he wants both Caleb and Jack to stay here so that they can be safe.
Lady Celine will say, I'll be happy for Jack's company. But as for your friend Caleb, well, I'm sure you know more than most that man has a will of his own.
Oh, I know.
If I had my way, he would be making arms day and night, not gallivanting in the Underdark.
Yeah. He's a good guy, though.
She nods, and she folds her hands and says, so, tell me, does Pearson mistrust everyone?
Yes.
She sighs.
Yes. There have been at least one time so far, maybe twice, where that almost bit us in the ass. But
She shakes her head. Well, none of us are perfect.
yep.
Very well. As I said, you guys, it will take me a day or two to put everything together. If you could, let the others know to meet me in my antechambers later today. I have someone I'd like you to meet.
Okay.
With that, anyone else have anything for Lady Celine or Queen Alana? Or should we just, or do you have anything at all? Should we just skip to the anteroom?
We're good. As
The
long,
antechamber.
is the antechamber, is that the nemesis of the chamber?
It is indeed.
I knew it.
Oh no.
Never let them touch each other.
Jarek
Always made-
will actually ambush Keen after he leaves the council room.
Oh shit. Okay.
Roll for initiative.
Jarek will actually like step out of like the dark shadows. Hello. And actually step in front of
I
Keen.
got a 24.
No,
I'm just kidding. What's going on?
Well, actually, we're gonna do that.
Oh, see,
and the
don't
hand
try
of
to-
God separates.
No. This is a dick measuring contest in regards to initiative. Grimmith will not be beaten.
No. I don't care.
What's going on, Jarek?
Jarek like eyes Keen and says, "All right. I accept your apology."
Oh. Okay. Wait. So back on the Isle, you didn't accept...
No. Did I tell you that I accepted it?
Shit!
I said okay. And then you walked away.
Hmm.
You might want to look into that. But I understand you were distracted at the time. And Jarek actually offers a small smile.
I really am sorry. The way that things were going, it seemed like the only way that the Lich King was even going to talk to us was if all of us were in the circle.
That's okay. And Jarek will actually extend a gloved hand and put it on Keen's shoulder. I don't hold it against you.
It's good to know.
That being said, I'm still going to enjoy not being around you.
I see. Well, hilariously enough, I am going to miss you and your less creepiness. Because now I'm stuck with the more creepy bastard.
Jarek will actually, he'll pause, he'll blink, and then he'll nod. Like, in a compassionate, understanding way. I know. I wonder what drives Pearson to do that. Part of the effects I do is what it engenders and responds in other people. I think he likes it.
Probably.
So, I can't even understand someone like that. Can you?
I don't know. It'll take a while to understand him.
Good. I'm gonna go study an object on Windfall Island, and then you can study Pearson Collimore, and the next time we get together, we can compare notes.
Sure, that sounds good.
I like that. And maybe we can do it over a meal of some... We'll do it over something.
Yeah.
Maybe at
Maybe.
a time of your convenience.
Yeah, because you don't sleep or eat or breathe.
I can eat, and I obviously have to talk somehow. That's very insensitive, Keen Stormsire.
I'm sorry.
Jarek actually laughs like, it is so easy to get you to apologize. You
my
are
God.
the most fun person to toy with. The first most fun person being Lady Celine. She is so fun. I'm going to miss you too, Keen. Jarek breaks out into a wide grin and turns around away from Keen.
Stay safe on that island.
Oh, well, that's why I gave Cole my stone. I might not. Doodles.
Okay. Watch out for the ghost ships.
Uh,
That was out of character.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming Jarek's just leaving. He's not waiting for any other departing words, correct?
Well, you fucking, like, if he was, like, talking to, like, Keen, then fucking, like, Pearson just, like, stormed out past him the way it was, like...
You know what, then? If he's just storming out, I want Pearson's last words to still be, because he's still kind of angry, but not at Jarek, will be like, don't get yourself killed or you'll doom us all. And then just keeps walking. I think that would be appropriate.
And Jarek, like, thinks in his head, like, wow, when he said I was the most important person, he... Huh. Wow.
There you go.
That's great. Don't get us killed or you'll doom us all.
Storm. You know what, Pearson? I mean, Jarek. Pearson does want to understand a little bit about Jarek's personality because it's somewhat similar to his own, which is flowery fucking words mean nothing, right? So he's not gonna say how much he means to him and all this other bullshit. Just see you later, come back alive, or we're fucked. So there you go.
That's very honest and very apocalyptic. What happened to the hopes and dreams of player characters? They're dead! dead!
We're all gonna die, fuck! Alright, anyway.
The Lich King picked up a shovel and he buried us in it!
Fucking Lich King here forever. Gonna point this fucking cannon at him.
So I am gonna say if anyone wants any last words with Jarek, he is going because he is about to leave with Falcor. So, and of course you can always say Jarek tries to avoid them too, which is fine. But basically, this is like your last chance, or forever hold your windfall.
I know Firefrog wants to have many last words with Jarek, as well as some viewers do, but you don't get them. Because you're not
No, Yunoken has.
That's right, Yunoken has.
Okay. Alright, anyway.
All right, then with that, Jarek and a very oddly unperturbed Heinrich being on top of Falcor's back with several other very scholarly-looking sorts who are sitting away from Jarek, take to the air and head back towards Windfall Isle.
Jarek's grin only widens. He's going to have so much fun with these ignorant bastards. Just softly stroking and soothing Heinrich while laying on the back of the dragon, just like, oh, I'm going to have a wonderful, wonderful time.
And his best friend is going too. That's the best part.
Yes. You do know my horse is carnivorous, right? Why don't you understand that, science man?
That's his one unique thing. He likes to eat meat.
Why don't you do some science on that?
That's right, science my horse.
So they fly off, and then an hour or two later, you all receive a polite summons. A wood elf servant comes to you and says that Lady Celine requests your presence in her antechamber.
Okay.
You're gonna have to have a role-playing thing with Cole, because
Okay.
he's still asleep on the table.
Oh wait, you mean in the council?
Yeah.
It's like Jarek's wish stone is like laying next to like Cole's head when Jarek flung it at him. Cole's fucking sleeping.
I love that. It's like, yeah, you know this important thing? That's so important. Yeah, it's just asleep next to our orc. No big deal.
It's an orc. Don't disturb him.
Actually, with that, I did not realize that. So after everyone leaves, Lady Celine will actually float on her chair over to Cole, and then she will sit on the on next to him, and then rather loudly say, "We didn't bore you, did we?"
He just like gets up, slams on the table. Where are they?
And Lady Celine will grin mischievously, keeping that mind sharp and rested, I see.
I thought we were talking about more on the war side of things.
Lady Celine will nod and she'll say, "Are you well, Cole? I have not spoken to you since you got back."
Well, I now have been touched by magic, and I'm curious to find out more.
She's like, "Have you really?" And she kind of leans in, and all suddenly fascinated. "Do tell."
Well, I'm not entirely sure how it completely works, but my good friend Jarek told me to steal some power from the Lich King, and one thing led to another, and I can throw lightning now.
She nods and she says, "I've heard of such things. Some rangers from the north were able to do it. You are a most remarkable man, Cole. If you will excuse me, I do have to make preparations, but feel free to use the table as long as you need.
Well, if there's no more talking, I have no more need to be here. Looks down at the glowing purple thing and I'm like, I must have dropped this. Looks, puts it, takes it, puts it into his bag, noticing that there's a second one there, and I went, huh, okay.
They're multiplying. All right. So, okay. Then is there something anyone else wants to do before we fast forward to that other scene, or?
No,
No.
Nope.
I'm good.
All right.
Let's go.
Okay. So,
Yep.
you will all receive a summons from Wood Elf servant, who very politely says, "Lady Selene requests your presence." And unless someone refuses to go, you will all be ushered into her room at the palace. And sitting in the room with her, she is sitting on one side of the room in a chair with her bandaged leg up. Sitting on the other side of the room is, let me give you a picture, but is a dwarf. And just throw this out there for you. And not put it on the GM layer. That would be nice. Is
That
a
is
dwarf?
the most beautiful picture that I have ever
It
seen.
is so teeny. Oh, there we go.
Right.
There you go.
Oh wow.
It is a dwarf in full plate mail.
I think his axe needs to be bigger.
He's clearly
Or red.
compensating for something. Like, could you have like a little like streamers on that, or some manner of like embellishment?
He's obviously compensating for a low AC class.
Anywho.
And Lady Selene, when you guys come in, she says, "Thank you for coming. As I said before, I thought it would be best if you're headed to Moonhelm to give you a guide of sorts, and I would like to introduce to you Drolin. In fact, well," and she motions to Drolin, "why don't you introduce yourself, good sir?"
Drawlin. Okay. Gremeth, character 2. Gremeth?
Oh, I didn't realize this was my thing. I mean,
Oh, yeah. No,
Squee was handling the introduction. I thought he was just going to keep going.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's fully under your control now.
Nope, no, he wasn't. You're describing him. You put a squad picture. I thought you were going to keep going.
Oh, no, I was actually trying to pass him off as soon as possible. I don't want to run your...
I was ready to handle things, but he's like, nope, he's got this. Good.
I got enough NPCs to run. I don't want to try
Well,
to...
that's why I thought you were volunteering for another.
Oh, no. He is all yours, sir. Take him away.
Oh, well, it's not exactly how I thought of an introduction.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oops.
Neither one of you want him. I'll take him.
No.
Whatever.
We
Yeah,
can retcon it a bit. How would you prefer?
no.
Okay.
Hi.
What did he say?
Hi.
Hi.
And then the dwarf
Interesting.
looks at Lady Selene like, what the fuck?
Nice beard.
Pearson's gonna wince a little bit.
Lady Selene will say, Drolin has been a friend to both wood elves and dwarves. He has been here in the city quite some time and has been helping with the war efforts. He also used to be a royal guard for King Volmgir the 18th. And I felt that he would be a useful aid to you in your next leg of your journey.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I guess I was just being passive aggressive. You want to tell my character's entire background story while you're at it?
That's what you get for being passive aggressive.
Yeah, you just looked at me again. I told you to take it away, and you just said hi and looked at me. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, there wasn't like any sort of like intro. I was just called in, just waiting there. Like, I figured the DM's got this. We'll keep going with it then.
No, she's actually said that she's done.
All right, Pearson's gonna talk. Then someone's gonna respond to in character. All right.
Nope. Inferno's already talked so fucking much. Inferno's not talking.
All right, I'll stop talking.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
Hi, I'm Keen.
Cole freaking rises up and said, "Right, greetings."
I actually need to step away for a few minutes. I actually have been completely derailed mentally.
Alright.
Alright.
Damn it. Shit.
Look,
Well, actually, no. This might be a good time. Let's just take a quick break. Everyone, go grab a drink or something.
Yeah. I need
You know
to feed
what?
the cats anyways.
my
I'll be
actual
back.
suggestion is let's just do this intro thing all over again
Yeah.
because we haven't really lost anything. So
Very true. All right,
I
we'll
assume
be back,
we're
guys.
back.
We'll be back in about 10 minutes. So go grab a drink, grab something to eat or whatnot, and we'll be right back.
Okay.